Hey, and welcome to 20 Minutes Self Development with me, your host, Tam Dillon. This podcast is all about focused, effective self development, specifically for healing practitioners, space holders, and intuitives who want to do the work behind the work. In each episode, I'll introduce you to a key concept, reflection, or tool that's designed to strengthen your inner capacity and support the integrity of your practice. In just 20 minutes, we'll go beyond surface level growth and into the real work that makes you a stronger, steadier, and more embodied practitioner. Let's get into today's episode. Hey, it's Tam, and welcome to another episode of 20 Minutes Self-Development. So today I want to chat about something that definitely for myself, yes, I have struggled with this. And a very common struggle for a lot of the practitioners that I know personally and that I've worked with over the years. And it's something that very often gets tangled up in guilt, shame, fear, and that's the relationship between service and money. How do we balance the call to serve with the need to be paid and the need to pay our bills? Like, where do we find this balance? It's generally it's a tough one for us. How do we honor our generosity without sacrificing our well-being, our livelihood? How do we know when to give and when to charge so that we can, pay our rent and pay our bills? And, they're not easy questions to answer, especially when so many of us have been taught, whether directly or indirectly, that spiritual work should be free, that sacredness and money can't coexist, that charging for our gifts is somehow inherently terrible to do and selfish. And so instead we overgive. We offer our labor, our time, our energy, hoping it will be enough, hoping it will prove our sincerity, hoping it will create trust. I've been there. I've done this. It's not a t-shirt I'm happy to own, okay? But what this often creates is depletion. When we're giving of ourselves and depleting ourselves, it's not a system that's going to work for us. And it's not just energetic depletion, it's structural depletion. It's almost a kind of erosion, if you will, in our practice, where boundaries blur, resentment starts to build, and the work starts to feel like a burden. The work starts to feel yucky. The work starts to feel like, oh man, I don't want to do that. That's exhausting. That's not what I want for myself. Which, if this is your gift and your calling, that sucks, because it goes completely against the grain of like, hey, this is what I'm for. So I want to bring this conversation back to structure. I've spoken about structure before in a previous episode. That structure is not about rigidity and conformity and, you got to work with the system and, confinement. It's about support. Systems are there to support you so that you can do the things that you need to do with less stress and worry and thinking about 101 things at the same time, because your systems are there supporting you through that and taking the load from you. Service in its healthiest form has to have structure. Just like water needs a container to flow into, your gifts need form. They need edges. They need definition. They need structure. Okay, you're going to hear the word structure a lot on this episode, but they need structure. And over the You've already, if you've listened into last week's episode, or you've seen my last couple of newsletters, you know that I'm chatting quite a bit about Deepa Iyer's social change ecosystem, and I'm gonna be referencing it in this episode, and talking about two roles in particular, and that is the builder and the caregiver. The builder creates the structures that hold the work that you do, your systems, your models, your frameworks, your boundaries. This is what the builder does for you. Now, the caregiver protects the well-being of people, including their own. They also notice when systems become extractive. They ask, what is sustainable? Not just what's needed. So the builder would be more practical and like, okay, what do we need and how do we streamline and how do we do this? Whereas the caregiver comes in and brings care and attention to the systems that the builder is building. Fun little structure, right? Yes, yeah, I do quite enjoy this system. Because together these two roles now remind us that service isn't just about what we're offering, it's about how we offer it and whether that offering is designed to actually last. Is that offering supported by solid systems and structures? And are those systems and structures built with care and for care? If your practice is generous but unsustainable, it is not going to last. Realistically and practically, it's not going to happen. You're getting by on duct tape and cable ties, okay? Don't want that for yourself. If you give away everything, your time, your knowledge, your emotional labor, you may be deeply loving, you may be the most fabulous person on the planet that everybody wants to know, but you're also going to be deeply exhausted. Like, you are going to have no capacity to do anything, and probably not even get out of bed some days. It just isn't sustainable. And on the other side of the spectrum, if you become rigid and too transactional or so focused on earning that your work loses its center, that's not sustainable either. Okay. Tam talks about the middle way a fair bit. I have an episode, if you go like way back, I think it's like episode 4 or 5, I talk about the middle way. Balance, people, balance. Like, the answer to life is balance. Okay, I assure you. Because if we go completely off to the other side and we become too rigid, too structured, too transactional, too business, it's not going to be sustainable. It's going to fall apart just for different reasons. What we need: rhythm, ritual, bring in some ceremony, a way of giving that truly honors both the medicine and the human that is carrying the medicine. Let me share something with you. For what feels like a gazillion and 1 years, I have struggled with pricing. Okay, honestly, I think it's probably been the one bane in my existence, as being the business owner. You're running an actual business. I hate pricing. that stuff stresses me out, man. Like, it gets anxiety going. I've gone through phases where I've adjusted my fees constantly. This week I'm like, oh, maybe I must bring it down. Then the next week I'm like, no, you're undercharging, and I raise it up. I feel guilty asking for payment. Gosh, the guilt that comes with asking for payment is very much a common one. I've tried sliding scales to the point where I may as well have just given it away for free. And just been like, here, just take the thing, okay? Just like, here, have it. And I told myself it was, because I want to be accessible. I want to help everyone. I want to be available to everyone. I don't want to appear like I'm gatekeeping, or, you can have me, but, at a price, But deep down, I think it was more fear of being seen as being greedy. Afraid that people would say, she thinks she is, to charge those prices, who does she think she is to charge anything at all? Isn't her work supposed to be free and accessible? If you're a spiritual person, aren't you supposed to just give? Isn't that the premise of spirituality? No, a big premise of spirituality is balance, people. Okay? Balance is okay. And proper balance. And it really is. It's like a fear of claiming worth would somehow take away the spiritual integrity of the work that I was doing. If I'm charging, people are going to be like, oh, you're a terrible person, you're not really real, you're not spiritual, and then there was the other side of me that felt guilty, like, charging people that needed the assistance I was giving them. And then the other side that was like, does this monetary transaction take away from the integrity of the work that I'm doing? Like, does it make the work any less real? And these are things that I ask. They're like genuine questions that I've had over the years. And looking back, the opposite. Truly the opposite. The more I've clarified my boundaries, built real structure, a lot of that has come in over the last couple of months. Lots of refining, lots of streamlining. I've chatted about that quite a bit over newsletters and episodes. And I've got to say, the more structure I've built with care and intention, the more availability I have, the more capacity I have, the more capacity I have to have an impact, to be impactful in life, because I'm not burning myself out. I'm not hyperextending. I'm not giving from guilt. I'm not sacrificing my own capacity just to appear generous. Needing into that balance, man. Like, Tam has like very like simple lessons sometimes where she's like, if you're gonna learn anything from me, balance the middle way. Go and listen to my middle way episode. Like, go back and look for that. It really is a great gem to listen to. Because for a lot of this, it really does come down to balance. Because when I did step into and I did find that balance for myself, that place of not over giving, but also not overcharging, like really true, good, authentic balance. My container is so much stronger. Like, there's so much stability there. There's also a lot more ease there as well. I could say the water of my work could, finally flow without spilling everywhere. It could actually fit into a sustainable, structured form. So here's what I want you to reflect on this week. Here's Tam's homework for the week. Where are you giving from guilt? When you give to someone, what is the feeling that is attached to that giving? Is it happiness, contentness, guilt? Oh, this feels disgusting. Oh, this is heavy. Oh, this is a loss. What Where are you giving from? And are you giving predominantly from a place of guilt or fear? Where are you undercharging, overextending to prove something? And where do you feel tension around money? And what story is sitting underneath that? For a lot of us, money work, for some reason, like the work around money stuff we got to do. And I really find for myself, it's helpful to ask that question, where do I feel tension around money? How does money make me feel? And what is the story sitting underneath that? Because perhaps for you, maybe you were taught that you've got to earn your place by giving endlessly. Maybe you're afraid people won't see your heart if you put a price on us. Maybe you're not sure how to create a structure that holds your work and values at the same time. And all of that is absolutely understandable. And none of it means you're doing anything wrong either. Like, you don't stink, you're not a failure, you don't suck, okay? You're human. And it means it's just time to reframe, refine, do a bit of restructuring. To see generosity not as the absence of payment, but the presence of love within a structure that is based on care. See pricing not as ego, but as clarity. To see your practice not as a never-ending river, but as a well, something that you can draw from, absolutely, but only if it's tended to and protected. Okay, wells aren't infinite things, you've got to look after them. This is your livelihood, this is your dharma, this is your sacred work, and it deserves to be held in a container that supports you as much as it supports others. So this week, take that one little step towards the balance. It's all about the balance. Maybe that's reviewing your pricing, finding balance inside your pricing. Maybe it's saying no to a request that drains you. Maybe it's as simple as writing down what you actually need in order to feel supported and, starting to name it. Because service really isn't about giving until you are empty. It's about building a structure where your medicine can flow for the long term. And if you need support with that, that is absolutely what Tam's mentoring is for. I work with practitioners every week to help them align their offerings with their values. I help them set boundaries that protect their calling, and I help them find a rhythm that actually sustains them. And inside the school community, if you haven't heard yet, over the next couple of weeks, the discussion around Deepa Iyer's ecosystem change map, we're exploring that quite deeply inside my school community, Gifted and Called. So do come and be part of that conversation. Lots of really fantastic content coming out over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to leave you with this. Remember that your generosity is sacred. Let's make sure that it's sustainable too. Thank you for being here. I'll catch you next week. Thanks for joining me for this week's episode of 20-Minute Self-Development. If today's reflections were helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, where we'll explore another tool or principle to support you in doing your own work as a healing practitioner. If you're looking for deeper support, my practitioner mentoring sessions are designed to help you refine your presence, integrate your self-work, and build a practice that's both ethical and sustainable. You can also visit the Tam Dillon Academy to explore all current programs and resources built specifically for space holders like you. Until next time, keep showing up for your own work, and remember, real growth is built on consistency, integrity, and self-responsibility.